is nothing like a best friend, is there?
Friend zone. Wow, we made it. When I first started watching the show, the thought of it breaking the 100 episode milestone never really crossed my mind, but here it is, and here we are. This week's episode takes a break from the main characters and shows us a day in the life of the other Ponyville citizens as they all race to prepare a wedding for Matilda and Cranky. So what's good? Well, I thought it was good to see how some of the other ponies in Ponyville live their lives, with the overarching plot thread of the wedding being the common theme across all the events that take place. The isolated vignette style helped to give a window into each character, and we finally get a chance to hear some voices that we've never heard before. I was particularly pleased to hear the voice of a certain pony whose voice I've been wanting to hear in full dialogue for a long, long time. Octavia. Her voice though. Her voice though.
I'm performing at the ceremony this afternoon, and I still haven't sorted out what to play.
Gorgeous. I was really worried about this episode before it came out. While I knew this was going to be an episode written for fun and celebration of the milestone, I was afraid that the episode would have too much fan pandering, to the point where it was pretty much nothing but fluff. But the story managed to keep the theme of the rushed wedding somewhat consistent across the majority of the segments, even taking moments to go back to Matilda and Cranky as they get closer and closer to their wedding. I'm also glad that while the episode did acknowledge some aspects of MLP fanon, they still took some liberties with it. For example, the idea of Doctor Who's being somewhat of a mad scientist rather than a time traveler was a really nice twist. Then again, I'm not a Whovian, so maybe this is more accurate to the original material than I think it is. Plus, it was really funny that they put so much stress on the fact that Lyra and Bon Bon are friends. Best friends. Just best friends. Out of all the vignettes, I think my personal favorite was Celestia and Luna's little scene of bickering. It showed a side of their dynamic that, up until now, was only shown in the comics, and it's nice to see FIM acknowledge it here. Now we just need a full episode of this. Please DHX, make this happen. So what's not so good? While there were some segments that worked well, there were some that just didn't. Again, the common thread that kept all these little slices connected was the wedding, but there were some pieces that, when added together with everything else, didn't fit very well. They kinda broke up the flow of the episode and dragged it down, and there were two segments in particular that were guilty of this. The first one being Dr. Who's time at the bowling tournament. It tended to drag on to the point where I was thinking, okay, why are we here? What's the point of this? How long does this go on for? Then there's the whole Bon Bon being a secret agent thing, which was just way too out there. I know they were going for laughs, but to me it was just a huge eye roller. This episode was a rather mixed bag of highs and lows, and when all the pieces are put together, you get a picture that has a few blemishes on it, some of which are really glaring. I wasn't sure whether or not I should give this episode a break because of the occasion, but even when I do, this was still an episode that was just okay. It's definitely not something I consider to be a favorite, but there are some bits and pieces that I liked. It's one of those episodes where you fast forward past all the stuff that you didn't care for just to rewatch the stuff that you liked. If this was any other episode, I'd be harsher, but because this was done for fun and celebration of a milestone that not many cartoons reach nowadays, I'll be a little lenient. Also, it's nice to see one of my cousins in this episode. Good to know that his acting career is working out for him. Next week's episode is going to focus on Spike, and since he's had a very shaky track record in terms of episodes, I'm a little skeptical about this one. So what did you think of Slice of Life? Let me know in the comments below or hit me up on Tumblr, and consider supporting me on PayPal through art commissions or donations. Until next time, keep it sketchy, folks.